Hello and welcome. So we can begin this episode with just a bit of grounding to begin with. Whether it's your feet against the floor, the soles of your feet touching the floor, and a simple awareness of breath. You don't have to do anything to change or alter your breath. You may, if you wish, deepen the breath, but just become aware. And it's often the very short, simple moments of awareness that can just bring you back into a neutral position. It's very easy to press the play button and then go into the gear of expectation, of knowledge or learning, entertainment even. But we are simply here, just aware of our bodies, allowing the mind to rest, and just being aware. Seems as if that more often now there's a longer gap between recording episodes, and each time there's perhaps an explanation on my current mental health and this and that. And often there's the thought, or perhaps I've shared it out loud, that this will be the last time I talk about this, or mention the reason why there are gaps in the episodes. But then when a record button is pressed and episode starts, there it is again. the intention of wanting to record more regularly, but for the time being not happening. So perhaps if it's not said before, maybe it's good perhaps to mention it now, that if any other longer gaps occur, then you know the reason, perhaps one of the reasons why. Of course, ironically, as life has a sense of humour, I'll probably end up recording or putting out 2 or 3 episodes very close together now. But it doesn't matter in one way, whether there's a gap or whether there's consistency. It just is that way. So we can continue reading from A New Earth. And we will begin at the passage titled Breaking Free of the pain body. A question people frequently ask is, how long does it take to become free of the pain body? The answer is, of course, that it depends both on the density of an individual's pain body as well as the degree of or intensity of that individual's arising presence. There is. Just realised that this has been read, which I thought this may happen one day, where a long gap, and I'm sure you caught on immediately of when I read that passage title. The immediate thought of, we read this before, and yes, as I turned the page there, it said chapter 7, so I immediately knew that I most likely finished reading the prior chapter, so I hope I'm correct. Okay, so chapter 7, here we go. Finding who you truly are. Nofi Suoten, probably again butchering the pronunciation of this name. They said, know thyself. These words were inscribed above the entrance of the temple of Apollo, as at Delphi, site of the sacred oracle. In ancient Greece, people would visit the oracle, hoping to find out what destiny had in store for them, or what course of action to take in a particular situation. It is likely that most visitors read those words as they'd entered the building, without realizing that they pointed to a deeper truth than anything the oracle could possibly tell them. They may not have realized either that no matter how great a revelation or how accurate the information they received, it would ultimately prove to be of no avail, would not save them from further unhappiness and self-created suffering, if they failed to find the truth that is concealed in that injunction, know thyself. What those words imply is this: before you ask any other question, first ask the most fundamental question of your life: who am I? Unconscious people, and many remain unconscious, trapped in their egos throughout their lives, will quickly tell you who they are, their name, their occupation, their personal history, the shape or state of their body, and whatever else they identify with. Others may appear to be more evolved because they think of themselves as an immortal soul or divine spirit. But do they really know themselves, or have they just added some spiritual sounding concepts to the content of their mind? Knowing yourself goes far deeper than the adoption of a set of ideas or beliefs. Spiritual ideas and beliefs may at best be helpful pointers, but in themselves they rarely have the power to dislodge the more firmly established core concepts of who you think you are, which are part of the conditioning of the human mind. Knowing yourself deeply has nothing to do with whatever ideas are floating around in your mind. Knowing yourself is to be rooted in being instead of lost in your mind. The next passage is titled, Who You Think You Are. Your sense of who you are determines what you perceive as your needs and what matters to you in life. And whatever matters to you will have the power to upset and disturb you. You can use this as a criterion to find out how deeply you know yourself. What matters to you is not necessarily what you say or believe, but what your actions and reactions reveal as important and serious to you. So you may want to ask yourself the question, what are the things that upset and disturb me? If small things have the power to disturb you, then who you think you are is exactly that, small. That will be your unconscious belief. What are the small things? Ultimately, all things are small things because all things are transient. You might say, I know I am an immortal spirit, or I am tired of this mad world and peace is all I want, until the phone rings. Bad news. The stock market has collapsed. The deal may fall through. The car has been stolen. Your mother-in-law has arrived. The trip is cancelled. The contract has been broken. Your partner has left you. They demand more money. They say it's your fault. Suddenly there is a surge of anger, of anxiety. A harshness comes into your voice. I can't take any more of this. You accuse and blame, attack, defend, or justify yourself, and it's all happening on autopilot. Something is obviously much more important to you now than the inner peace that a moment ago you said was all you wanted. And you're not an immortal spirit anymore either. The deal, the money, the contract, the loss or threat of loss are more important. To whom? To the immortal spirit that you said you are? No, to me, the small me that seeks security or fulfillment in things that are transient and gets anxious or angry because it fails to find it. Well, at least now you know who you really think you are. If peace is really what you want, then you will choose peace. If peace mattered to you more than anything else, and if you truly knew yourself to be spirit rather than a little me, you would remain non-reactive and absolutely alert when confronted with challenging people or situations. You would immediately accept the situation and thus become one with it rather than separate yourself from it. Then out of your alertness would come a response. Who you are, consciousness, not who you think you are, a small me, would be responding. It would be powerful and effective and make no person or situation into an enemy. The world always makes sure that you cannot fool yourself for long about who you really think you are, by showing you what truly matters to you. How you react to people and situations, especially when challenges arise, is the best indicator of how deeply you know yourself. The more limited, the more narrowly egoic the view of yourself, the more you will see, focus on, and react to the egoic limitations, the unconsciousness in others. Their faults, or what you perceive as their faults, become to you their identity. This means you will see only the ego in them, and thus strengthen the ego in yourself. Instead of looking through the ego in others, you are looking at the ego. Who is looking at the ego? The ego in you. Very unconscious people experience their own ego through its reflection in others. When you realize that what you react to in others is also in you, and sometimes only in you, you begin to become aware of your own ego. At that stage, you may also realize that you are doing to others what you thought others were doing to you. You cease seeing yourself as a victim. You are not the ego. So when you become aware of the ego in you, it does not mean you know who you are. It means you know who you are not. But it is through knowing who you are, not that the greatest obstacle to truly knowing yourself is removed. Nobody can tell who you are. It would just be another concept, so it would not change you. Who you are requires no belief. In fact, every belief is an obstacle. It does not even require your realization, since you already are who you are. But without realization, who you are does not shine forth in this world. It remains in the unmanifested, which is, of course, your true home. You are then like an apparently poor person who does not know he has a bank account with $100 million in it, and so his wealth remains an unexpressed potential. So read the final, not the final, the following passage. This will be the final one for the episode, and it's titled Abundance. Who you think you are is also intimately connected with how you see yourself treated by others. Many people complain that others do not treat them well enough. I don't get any respect, attention, recognition, acknowledgement, they say. I am being taken for granted. When people are kind, they suspect hidden motives. Others want to manipulate me, take advantage of me. Nobody loves me. Who they think they are is this: I am a needy little me, whose needs are not being met. This basic misconception of who they are creates dysfunction in all their relationships. They believe they have nothing to give, that the world or other people are withholding from them what they need. Their entire reality is based on an illusory sense of who they are. It sabotages situations, mars all relationship. If the thought of lack, whether it be money, recognition or love, has become part of who you think you are, you will always experience lack. Rather than acknowledge the good that is already in your life, all you see is lack. Acknowledging the good that is already in your life is the foundation for all abundance. The fact is, whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you are withholding from the world. You are withholding it because deep down you think you are small and that you have nothing to give. Try this for a couple of weeks and see how it changes your reality. Whatever you think people are withholding from you, praise, appreciation, assistance, loving care, and so on, give it to them. You don't have it? Just act as if you had it, and it will come. Then, soon after you start giving, you will start receiving. You cannot receive what you don't give. Outflow determines inflow. Whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you already have. But unless you allow it to flow out, you won't even know that you have it. This includes abundance. The law that outflow determines inflow is expressed by Jesus in this powerful image. Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. The source of all abundance is not outside you. It is part of who you are. However, start by acknowledging and recognizing abundance without. See the fullness of life all around you. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the display of magnificent flowers outside a florist's shop, biting into a succulent fruit, or getting soaked in an abundance of water falling from the sky. The fullness of life is there at every step. The acknowledgement of that abundance that is all around you awakens the dormant abundance within. Then let it flow out. When you smile at a stranger, there is already a minute overflow of energy. You become a giver. Ask yourself often, what can I give here? How can I be of service to this person, this situation? You don't need to own anything to feel abundant. Although, if you feel abundant consistently, things will almost certainly come to you. Abundance comes only to those who already have it. It sounds almost unfair, but of course it isn't. It is a universal law. Both abundance and scarcity are inner states that manifest as your reality. Jesus puts it like this: for to the one who has, more will be given, and from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And that brings us to the end of the reading for today. And the last passage is, even though it's just a passage about abundance, it's a very big Apologies for the sound. That was my headphones falling off the shelf, as they do. So hopefully that wasn't too loud for you. It seems as if the headphones gave us a warning. There was a slight sliding off and then the crash. Okay. Yes, we talk about the big topic of manifestation, and it's almost a bit of a buzzword or a hot topic in perhaps in the realm of spirituality. I call it the realm, or almost its own world, because there's so many aspects of it and so many different approaches to it as well. And something that strikes me about the passage titled Abundance is that there's almost a foundation layered to it in regards to being present and understanding what there is in the present moment, the life around us. Eckhart talks about the rain falling from the sky. And so even the abundance here, it seems as if the abundance is alive. So acknowledging the abundance that you can experience in this moment. Because it's one thing to sit in a cafe and write, I'm grateful, or I have the abundance of a home, shelter. But there's one thing, actually being inside the building you are in, and whether it's raining or there's wind, but there's some acknowledgement of that present moment experience of abundance. Or it could be the person you're with. Again, it's one thing to note that I have abundant friends, but then there's one thing to experience the present moment abundance of the loving energy that is there with you in that moment. It's a very enlightening and interesting comment that Eckhart gives about abundance, that the law that outflow determines inflow, that without an outflow, or without receiving what you don't give. So outflow determines inflow. That's what I was trying to say. So whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you already have. And sometimes in our minds, as a thought, this may not seem truthful. We may have a certain desire in our mind that we feel is not there, that we don't have. But when you go to the essence of it can be expressed as an outflow. As an example, quite commonly, there's the aspect of wanting a partner, a life partner. But when you go to the essence of this is love. And so what love can flow out from you? And that will determine the inflow of love that is received in whatever form. It may be friends or the partner you so desire. Of course, this is a huge, and there's I'd imagine a great depth to this topic, so I want to try and tread lightly, because my knowledge is very limited in that sense. But I have heard this before from Eckhart, and the root of manifestation, the essence of it, is to know that what you want you already have, or you can act as if you already have it, and then this energy is received. And it may not be, it's not a I'd imagine it's not a genie where, as soon as we do that, we can expect the exact thing we want, or we thought we wanted. Often what is received is what is coming from the universal intelligence. So it knows what is needed and what is desired. And quite often what's received can be something that we didn't know we wanted. And again, Eckhart comments on this further down in the passage. The source of all abundance is not outside you. It is part of who you are. And he recommends to see the fullness of life all around you. And the acknowledgement of that abundance that is all around you, such as the rain falling from the sky or the sun on your skin. So in that acknowledgement of the abundance, that awakens the dormant abundance within. Then let it flow out. And just to wrap up this passage, Eckhart mentions a couple of questions that can assist us with this as well. He says, ask yourself often, what can I give here? How can I be of service to this person, this situation? And we can leave it there. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I wish you well in this present moment, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.